We are about to watch some diabolical footage inside a hospital of a man, a doctor, who's sitting there snapping a photo of his dying wife, the wife he poisoned. She's crashing out. He takes the opportunity to snap a photo, and guess who he sends that photo to? His mistress. Yes, this is the case of Dr. James Craig, and the fact that he snapped this photo, that police would eventually move into evidence and send it to his mistress, almost as if he's just keeping track, keeping a trophy of his handiwork. Now, granted, this mistress, Karen Kane, was told that James Craig was on his way to divorcing Angela Craig. He'd been married to Angela Craig for at least 23 years. They had 6 children together, and we're about to see this exclusive hospital footage. I've requested all the case data, and the more I put it together, the more I realized what he was doing, how diabolical this man is. It's unfathomable. The photos this man sent his mistress of his wife, blaming his wife for the stuff that he did. So it's no wonder cops were really interested in James Craig's text messages to his mistress, Karen Kane, all during this time. Now, we'll kind of go through this case. Of course, if you've watched previous videos, you know we've seen the interviews with Dr. James Craig's mistresses, and now we're going to match them up with this diabolical text messaging.
Scrolled all the way to the bottom. And I think I started taking pictures on Wednesday. Right here. Yep, there's not much.
Check all the links below if you want to see the actual text messages, compare them to the mistress interviews, the surveillance videos, and everything we've already watched. This man, he's a dentist out of Colorado. I guess he decided he was tired of being married. He wanted to pursue maybe many of the other women he's gone after. During his trial, at least 4 other women testified. I don't know how many women he was messing around with and lying to. But as you can see, I was able to match up these text messages between his one mistress that he sent. Oh my goodness, they exchanged 4,000 text messages in only an 18-day period. They had just met each other, but they were going ham crazy over each other. So I was able to match up the dates with the text messages, the ones that one officer scrolled through on a body cam interview video because she believed some of the text messages had been deleted. Compared to what was on Karen Kane's phone that she's scrolling through, comparing that to the download data of the woman's phone, this officer believed that they were missing some text messages. But by her doing this, it helped me match them up to what was going on in the days prior to Angela Craig losing her life at the hands of her husband. So before we get to all these hospital surveillance videos, I was able to sync up and kind of even sync up with some of the text messages going on at that time. Let's do a little lead up basically of how Dr. James Craig, a dentist, was torturing his wife Angela. She was well enough to go out of town in early March or so, 2023. But by March 11th and 10th and all those days, something started really going wrong with Angela. So much so that she had to go to the hospital several times. But for James, it was just fun time with him and his mistress. He's sending pics and videos. So every time I could see this MMS sent on the PDF that I've linked to below, it's like 200 and something pages worth of their text messages. Every time I see that, I know he's sent out some photos to his mistress. So we'll go through those a little bit here and there as we go through the timeline, and we will also listen to Dr. James Craig and his position in the LDS Church as an elder, and I'll scroll through some of these text messages too until we get to the diabolical final messages the same day that James Craig takes this poisonous dose of something, either cyanide or other substances that he was sneaking to his wife, making her sick as a dog, to him sending one of those final she's crashed out photos to his mistress, and that same night having the nerve to say, "What you doing?" so lighthearted to his mistress. He liked sending photos of himself. He sent photos about just chilling out, During this time, while his wife is sick as a dog, going in and out of the hospital, her brother Mark Prey coming in town to help his sister, and being misled, Dr. James Craig even misled his own brother-in-law and tricked him into giving Angela these capsules full of poison, basically, and he made sure to stay on top of his brother-in-law to make sure he was giving her those pills. We're going to go through those final days and the hospital footage to watch it all unfold. It's something about seeing it that's so diabolical. Before we get to those diabolical last days of Angela, the day she crashed out March 15th, and the day her husband's mistress came in town the very next day, March 16th, let's go back a few days. March 11th, we're going to listen to James Craig giving an interview. Now, these hospital videos I was provided, and they gave me a great spreadsheet to go along to tell you what's happening, so we'll be able to see that label I put at the bottom of the videos. Since they have no audio, a lot of it, some of it I will narrate a little bit to tell you what's happening, but I'm also going to let you hear James Craig's podcast interview he sent to his mistress around the same time. Now, previously on February 27th, 2023, James had texted Karen, his mistress, "Shoot, I forgot that I have to record a podcast tonight at 8 o'clock. It's kind of a getting to know you podcast that they do for members of our congregation. One of the guys in the congregation just decided it would be a fun idea to start it up, and I've never had that before, but it's been fun to learn about different people there. One of the questions on the podcast is, which Disney character do I most relate to? Any recommendations there? I'm drawing a blank." Now, you will be able to hear in this audio that I play, I found the Dropbox link because James Craig texted the link to the podcast to his mistress on March 11th, 2023. All this time, he's poisoning his wife. He's doing it at home. He's putting stuff in her protein shakes. He's blaming her sickness on other things. He even blames his own wife for her sickness, as you'll see in these text messages and everything coming up. Well, he texted her the Dropbox link to his interview, and I was like, oh my goodness, interesting. He's being interviewed by a guy named Jared Ivanich. It's called the Voices of South Shore Ward podcast. It's by one of the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, South Shore Ward in Aurora, Colorado. I thought it'd be interesting if we listen to snippets of this, give you a little bit more about James's diabolical personality and how he fooled so many people while we watch the happenings of what's happening all the way up until March 15th, 2023, when Angela crashes out because of all the stuff her husband has given her. You'll notice from the upcoming audio that James is referred to as an elders quorum president. I had never heard of it. I had to look it up. In the LDS Church, an elders quorum president is a local lay leader responsible for the adult men in a congregation. Now, this guy, James Craig, is all over seeking.com. He's got mistresses galore, probably ones we don't know about, playing his wife, doing all this creepy stuff, making her sick, taking away her life, and he's responsible for adult men in the congregation. That's what James Craig was, this elders quorum. While the president of the church is the head of the entire faith, and they even threw around the notion of James Craig becoming a bishop. That's how much they trusted in this man. You will see as the interview begins, James starts speaking about his wife Angela a little bit, not much, and his children, but he doesn't quite talk about his wife a lot. And isn't it ironic that he had the hubris, the nerve, to send this interview to his mistress, to send her these photos of his wife, whom he sickened, and to even do the final death knell, the final nail in her coffin, by giving her something right under the noses of the hospital staff. And beyond that, under the mighty hand and the watchful eye of our God, our Lord and Savior Jesus, how dare he believe he could get away with this? Let's start looking at what was happening during that time. March 11th, he's still sending his mistress a whole bunch of different selfies. They're exchanging selfies. They're talking about their love for one another. They said it so quickly to one another. It was crazy. He's talking about how much he loves her words and, oh, sorry, he missed her. He was showering, and they're laughing at the dogs, each other's dogs, and And he even will have the nerve to tell the podcast host a suggestion of whom his mistress, what Disney character she recommended. The genie. But he calls her, oh, just a dear friend of mine. He was quite a trip. He sends tons and tons of photos. They exchange photos of one another all throughout the days. March 11th, March 12th, March 13th. After these two are exchanging their I love yous on March 13th and, oh, are you free? Yes, me too. Can you send me a picture right now? And he's like, James is like, you asked for it. So he's laying down in bed and they're sending each other these photos. Mind you, his mistress only believes this is his estranged wife and that she's indeed sick. And they get a little kinky, some of these. He sends a photo of just his face, which looks evil to me knowing what James Craig did, but it's inspiring to his mistress back then. One of the really troubling photos that he sends, James sends a photo on March 14th. It's around 8:09 p.m. It says hardly responsive. And that's when he sends that photo of his wife, Angela, just laying in bed, looking horrible. No wonder she would go to the hospital the very next day. We're about to see that footage. I don't know, can you imagine? You're just on your last leg. It's your husband of decades who has made you this way, has made you suffer. You're in your bedroom, and he's there snapping a photo of you to send to his mistress with the words, hardly responsive. It's almost as if he was just counting down. He's counting down to the moments he can be free where he doesn't have to worry about divorce and money and child support or whatever, giving up a house or anything. He could have it all himself, I guess he thought. It's totally diabolical. It makes you think you don't want to trust anyone. No one but God. Right after that, he goes, I'm in my favorite rocking chair. And he sends a photo of himself to his mistress. These parts are really crazy. After sending those photos of Angela there, very sick, you can tell, hardly responsive, as he says, and then himself in his favorite rocking chair, he sends more texts to his mistress, blaming his wife, saying she's trying to die in bed, as if Angela did all this to herself. As if she's the one trying to die in bed, like she's trying her best just to die in bed, in their bed. Now, when he says he's in his favorite rocking chair, he's pretending, okay, you know, I'm divorcing this woman, so she's over there. I don't even live here. I have my own apartment, but I'm being this stand-up father. We still share children. We haven't divorced yet, so I'm still here, but I'm in a rocking chair. His mistress is responding, it's late, and you should be somewhere much more comfortable. She's showing empathy for James. She says, get in bed. She will never know. Okay, so James takes the bait. He's been baiting her all along, gaslighting his mistress and lying all along. Can I share something? Of course, his mistress says, without you feeling animosity towards her. I just need someone who understands. So he's already setting it up to say, yeah, I want you to feel some animosity towards my wife. I want you to believe she's the enemy I've been telling you she is. And even though he's saying she's trying to die in bed, those were his wishes. He wanted to be free. He wanted to be the widower. He wanted to maintain his elder quorum president reputation, stand-up guy, so he could move right along to the next wife, step in to be a mother of his 6 children. Well, some of them were older, but still, step right in and then let him carry on with his philandering, seeking.com ways. He says, she accused me of being the reason she's sick. That's because I want to leave her. She's sick. Am I a bad person? Ugh, gag. Alrighty, let's get to these hospital videos. Diabolical. We're starting off with March 15th, 2023. So now this is 10:58 a.m. It says V. Whenever you see V, that's the victim. Victim gets out of the car and into a wheelchair pushed by Mark Prey. Now this is by her brother. Her brother has the kindness caring to come take Angela, and she looks so sick, so horrible. I feel so bad for her. I mean, I hate being sick. I'm sure most people hate being sick. You hate feeling sick. It's one thing if it comes about and you don't even know why. It's quite another thing if it comes about at the hands of someone deliberately poisoning you, but turning it all around and making it seem like, I don't know what's happening. She's doing this to herself.
Have you ever been assigned to minister to someone but feel like you didn't know them? Do you have a hobby or favorite pastime that sometimes feels like you're the only one in the ward who enjoys that thing? Have you ever heard that Sister So-and-so has an amazing conversion story, but you haven't had the chance to ask her about it? Welcome to the Voices of South Shore Ward podcast. I'm your host, Jared Ivanich. In this podcast, we spend time hearing the voices and stories of our ward family members with the goal of making connections on a temporal and spiritual level.
So Angela's there, she's in the wheelchair, and her brother is wheeling her in, and you're going to see scenes coming up of them wheeling all throughout the hospital.
Welcome to another episode of the Voices of South Shore Ward podcast. I'm your host, Jared Ivanich, and today I'm excited to be with someone for the second time to sit down, and this time I'm going to be interviewing him. He's not going to trick me again, but would you mind introducing yourself and a little bit about your family?
Yeah, sure. Jim Craig, Supreme Allied Commander, leader of the Resistance, and and then there's Angela, of course, and then our 6 kids: Tolliver, who's 20, Mira, who's 18 and married to Jack. And then we've got Annabelle, 17, Cleo, 15, Nora, 10, and Violet, the ripe old age of 8.
Now, Angela is just bent over at the check-in station where her brother has to go through the metal detector. He's about to wheel her through. He didn't know. He's probably out of his mind with worry and grief. But instead, you'll see he wheels her around. They get through.
I promise he's not even like looking at a cheat sheet. He's not written this down on his hand. He just knows that. That's awesome. That's good.
I studied in the car before I came in.
And how long have you guys been in the South Shore Ward?
Oh, like 8 years, I think now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have been in this area for a while then?
Yeah, for a while. I think since before it was the South Shore Ward, back when it was the Talons Reach Ward.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what brought you guys out to this?
We used to live down in the Parker Ward, kind of at Arapahoe Road and Parker Road. And It's kind of funny because we lived down there with a lot of people who ended up in this area, like the Warnicks and, some others that are now in this congregation. And then we were outgrowing our house. And constantly looking at realtor.com. She loves looking at houses. And so she found a house up in this area, and it had 2 laundry rooms, and one of the laundry rooms was on the master, or the main level off the master.
Sauntering up later, March 15th, it is now 11:21. Here comes her husband, D, the defendant. He goes through security. And in the meantime, what you will notice with some of this audio coming up is James Craig making himself seem so affable and lovable and just a funny guy. The only thing he really says about his wife is that she loves looking at houses on Zillow. He's not very complimentary of her. There's no effusive praise or anything. As you'll hear, he'll just talk about Angela being from Kansas. She loved looking at houses on Zillow, and that's how they found their beautiful home in Aurora, because it has a washer dryer on the same level. I'm sure a family of 8, you look for, washer dryer on the same level as the primary bedroom. But as you'll hear coming up, James will talk a lot about, I didn't know you knew I used to write comedy, and he's trying to be a jokester throughout it all. He talks about, I think I really love public speaking, and he's talking about his faith, and he claims he loves the vulnerability in other men as if he's this kind of stand-up guy. I mean, of course, they all admit to not being perfect, but with James, his level of imperfection is truly scary. They even laugh at one point about sinners being the most fun. But on the videos, we will see at 11:28 a.m., the defendant is approaching Angela's room. So this is where I guess he's decided, since his mistress is coming in the next day, this guy is just gonna get her done. He's gonna literally wipe out his wife.
Nice.
And so that was like a selling point. And she brought me out, and I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is a good house. So we built it during the housing slump in I don't know when it was, 2009. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
And it was perfect timing because there were tons of subs lined up looking for work. We got to have our way with the design features we wanted. We got to push the builder pretty hard. Yeah. So we got a sweet deal.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And so did either one of you grow up in the area? Is that how you guys
Nope.
where'd you guys come from?
I grew up in Utah till I was 13.
Okay.
And then my dad graduated college, and we were homeless for about 6 months or so.
Really?
Yeah, living out of an RV in the woods in Washington. It was crazy. And then, my dad was probably the most educated homeless person ever. He had a master's degree, and we were just living out in the woods in Washington waiting for the job opportunity to come along. And he got landed a job in Wichita for Cessna.
Okay.
And so we moved out there, and that's where I went to school from 13 to 18 until I left home.
Okay.
And then Ange is from Dodge City. She's been there her whole life.
Dodge City. I don't even know where is that here in Colorado or
Southwest Kansas.
Southwest Kansas. Okay. I feel like I should know where that is, but I don't know where that is.
You know what? You're lucky if you don't know where it is. It's a pretty crappy town. That's right.
Okay.
I said it.
And so you lived there until college.
Yep.
Went off. Did you guys meet in college? How'd you guys get connected then?
After the mission.
Okay.
Yeah, we were both at a
like a single adult.
Yeah, we were like a party, a dance, and we had some mutual friends. And
nice.
A buddy of mine was at that same party, and he was like, "Hey, let's get out of here and go to a movie. You want to go to a movie?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't think my wife's here," and I kind of laughed, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't think mine is either. But let me just go ask this girl to dance one time." And that was Ange. I went up, and it was a Hawaiian party.
Yeah.
And the music was pretty loud. And she was like, "Nice lay," because we all had lays on. And I was like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Did you just ask me to dance?" And so
smooth.
Yeah. And then, the rest is history.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that's a fun story. My dad and my stepmom met at a church dance.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I think folks that put those on probably are hoping and wishing those things happen, right?
Maybe so.
And so for that to happen that's a good thing. That's great. That's awesome.
And she asked me on 2 dates. And I was like, I don't think any girl has ever asked me on 1 date, let alone 2. This is never going to happen again. And so then I asked her to marry me because I figured I better lock that down. And we were married about 3 months later.
Wow. That's awesome. That's cool. And so most people probably know this in the ward, but what's your current calling in the ward?
I am the president of the Elders Quorum.
Awesome. How's that going?
It's great. The job is a pretty big, difficult job, but it is made really easy by my 2 counselors and especially by my secretary, Luke Anderson. He's amazing. He's a workhorse.
That's awesome.
I get to focus on the things that matter most, the men and their families and making sure everybody's taken care of. And those guys do all the work behind the scenes, man. I'm telling you, they're hard workers. Good support.
That's awesome. And so sometimes with those callings that have a little bit more responsibility associated with it, I like to just ask for a follow up. Did you see it come in? Was that what? Did you know? What was that experience of being called?
That's a good question. I kind of think Bishop always had it out for me. He would always say to me things like, "The Lord has big plans for you. The Lord has big plans."
Now you'll see him exiting the room at 11:52 p.m.
And I'm like, "Bishop, this is me we're talking about. I got a lot of questions and a lot of problems, and I got a history, man." I was the Elders Quorum one other time in Missouri. Okay. Elders Quorum president one time in Missouri when I was in dental school, and we had a big tornado, and it just ravished the ward, and houses were destroyed, trees through windows, dumpsters tipped over into people's yards on their cars. So at that time, it was like, we got to mobilize the ministering effort.
Yeah.
And
just all hands on deck.
All hands on deck. Yeah. And that's the thing I love about this church is that like everybody gets assigned to a couple of families to kind of watch over and shepherd and minister to. And then everybody also has a couple of people assigned to them. Yeah. A few people, and assigned is a hard word because we don't want to be like, it's your assignment to be their friend. It feels weird, right?
Yeah.
But it's like,
I found it very fascinating to see what he was texting his mistress around the same time. This is March 15th. This is around 1:00 p.m. or so. And he's playing the woe is me feelings. I'm divorcing a woman who is the mother of my children, who seems to be trying her hardest to die. All this time he's been prepping people. Oh, she's trying to die in bed. She's trying to die. She's doing this. Now his mistress is saying, well, I'm praying she makes a full recovery soon. But then James is saying, it's making me feel super guilty, babe. So the feelings of guilt that James has rightly should be there, but of course he's not admitting it's guilt over poisoning his wife. His mistress is asking, guilty because she's sick or guilty because you feel divorced from the emotion you would have had previously? And she's trying to make him feel better. Don't feel guilty. Of course, she doesn't know he feels guilty for so many other reasons. Well, hopefully he would, but he doesn't seem like he does. He's pretending like he feels guilty.
When I was the Elders Quorum president, it was so nice to just be able to call the district leaders and say, call everybody in your district, see how the ministering families are doing, see how the ward is doing. And then it all just kind of trickled back to me. And we were able to account for everybody and make sure everybody's needs were taken care of. And so this is a much different experience.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it might be coming. Okay. I don't know. You know how the Lord works. Yeah. He kind of prepares you and lets you know what's coming. But so I guess I wasn't too surprised when it happened.
Okay.
I'm still surprised that he calls on me to do anything. And I'm really, right, because I got a lot of stuff. But
we all got a lot of stuff.
We all got a lot of stuff. I know. But I love him, and I'm trying my best to serve him wherever I can, whatever that looks like.
I love that example. And I think sometimes sometimes you don't know, but I think that the important part is that you respond and you're there. And so I'm loving having you be the Elders Quorum president. So I'm excited for that opportunity. Yeah. And so when you're not being the Elders Quorum president, when you're not working on people's jaws and teeth and reconstructing stuff and teaching classes on other folks on how to do these surgeries. Uh-huh. What do you like to do for fun?
Ooh, well, what I like to do and what I have time to do are very different. I guess what I have time to do is really hang out a lot with my kids. I only have 4 at home right now, 4 girls left at home, and we just have a great time. Annabelle loves to play games. Cleo will talk for hours and hours at the table. She'll tell me all about the boys and whatever else. And so I just really love those girls. And I love all of my kids when they're all at home. We had a great time. What I would like to do also, in addition, if time was not an issue, is I love to mountain bike. Okay. I'm not very good, but I love it. I love to fly fish. I love to snowboard. I love to camp. I love to rock climb and hike. I love the opera.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. I love the fine arts in general. But I guess just kind of, I think if I had to do the same thing as a hobby over and over, I'd get bored. So I just kind of like to mix it up.
Okay. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So you're so busy. Is it like torture? Like you live in Colorado where like all of those things you just listed are like you're in the mecca of those things.
Right.
And so is it like, do you always have an itch or have you're
always.
Yeah.
I've always got an itch. Hard to scratch it, but always have the itch. We probably get out camping once a year maybe twice a year if we're lucky. Yeah. So it just teaches you to relish those moments because they are a little few and far between when you're busy.
Yeah.
So,
it's difficult when you've got so many other responsibilities, so many things you're doing.
Yeah.
So do the kids like to do some of those things as well? Or are those your solo hobbies?
Nope. Everybody snowboards.
Okay, cool.
And I've taken some of the kids fly fishing. That's been fun.
Okay, cool.
My very first fly fishing trip with Tolliver. So I got to tell you something. I don't go fly fishing unless I've got a guide.
Okay.
Because it's a waste if I go by myself. I don't catch anything.
I've only been twice, but both times we were with a guide.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I could do this if I didn't have a guide.
Right. That's where it's at.
I wouldn't do this.
Yeah. So I got a guide, and Tolliver and I went out when he was like, I don't know, young, 13, something like that, 12. And we were out all morning, and we only caught one fish with this guide, right? And Tolliver caught it. And we're eating lunch. And the guy, we're eating just in these folding chairs on the side of the river. And the guide leaves to walk up to the truck for something. And when he's gone, Tolliver looks at me and goes, Dad, can you believe we already caught one fish? I thought, man,
let's not spoil it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, by 1:30 p.m. that same day, the defendant, James Craig, goes through security with food. So I'm assuming, is bringing his wife food, although I didn't know if she'd be able to eat anything at this point. Did he put poison in the food?
That's awesome.
Yeah. I do. I don't go without a guide. It's just, it would be a waste of time. I don't tie my own flies because as soon as I lost one in the bushes, all sorts of bad words would come out. And so repentance is hard. So that's why I don't do that.
No, I totally get it. I went out and it was amazing to me.
By 1:33 p.m., we see him approaching the room with food and a drink. Is that food for him, I'm wondering, or for Angela?
They just point and be like, oh, put it right there.
Yeah.
And you do it, and then boom, you catch one.
Amazing,
and
right?
If you get tangled up, they just come over, fix it up real quick.
Fix it up.
I don't know who has the patience to learn those things.
I know.
But apparently I don't, and I just want to go out. The one time a year I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You gotta have a guide. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The guide I went out with most recently with Bishop, he had me throw the line out. He put this tiny, tiny, tiny little fly in. It's like the size of a BB, right? It's tiny. Yeah. And I threw it out twice and didn't catch anything. And he was so irritated that not with me, but just in general. He goes, let me see that. He pulls the BB up and he gets this. He has like a pocket full of Sharpies and he gets a little brown Sharpie out and he puts like a little dot on the BB and he goes, here, try that. I throw it in and catch the hugest fish. I'm like, what?
Now here's the moment, 1:52 p.m. The defendant exits the room and he's entering the bathroom. So pay attention. He goes in over in the bathroom over there on the right. He's probably mixing this solution.
I could fish in this stocked water all day long and probably only catch one fish by lunch, but this guy's got it down.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And so,
according to the paperwork, he then exits the bathroom with a syringe. If you pay close attention, you'll see him right there, and he's kind of doing a little kick thing, and he's got a syringe in his pocket. And, you know, he's wearing his scrubs. He's kind of just blending in with the other staff, so maybe they don't think much about him. He exits the bathroom, and he enters the room with Whatcha. It's like 1:53.
So you like to do the outdoor stuff, but you guys have lived in Colorado for some time, it sounds like, right?
We moved here right after dental school in 06.
Okay, so since 06. So you guys, I'm hoping maybe you guys can give us the inside scoop then. What's one of your favorite local eats in the greater Denver area?
I knew you were going to ask this question, and it is so hard for me because I like a wide variety.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite part of your podcast. Well, almost the favorite part because I get to hear all these new places.
Yeah.
And Whatcha exits the room at 1:54. So at certain points, he's going to have some alone time with his wife here to do some diabolical things.
I don't really know that I've got a favorite.
Okay.
I really liked the Lost Cajun in Southlands Mall, but then they shut down. Yeah, went out of business. I like Bad Daddy's. We like Ted's Montana Grill. I eat at Old Chicago like 2 or 3 times a week at lunch.
I've never been there.
Well, it's okay. It's not anything special, but they were the first restaurant to open indoor dining after the pandemic, and they're kind of close to my office. So I'm like, I'm going to reward you guys for the rest of my life. Because you know how we were all dying to eat indoors? Yeah. So I don't know that I really have a favorite.
Okay.
Lots of places.
Just always kind of changing up based on what's around.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all right.
I mean, if Bishop's buying, we'll go to Perry's, whatever.
That's a good approach. I like that approach. All right. And
now, by 1:55, Whatcha enters the room again.
If you weren't doing what you do now, and it seems like you I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but you seem like one of those guys that are kind of good at whatever you try.
Oh,
I'm not trying to like flatter you, but I feel like I've heard some of your background, like, I used to do some comedy, or I used to write for this show, or I used to work for this, and every time I'm like, man, what hasn't this guy done?
I didn't know that you knew that I wrote comedy for shows. Yeah.
And so
that's funny.
So I'm genuinely curious with that background.
1:56:59, Rose enters the room. I'm sure the staff had no idea.
If you weren't doing what you do now, like what would you be doing?
I think I'd probably be a jazz musician.
Really?
Yeah, I probably would. There was a time, so I play the piano, and I don't play a lot of jazz piano, but I play the piano, and then I play all the woodwinds, so the 5 saxophones and the oboe, clarinet, bassoon, and flute. Now, the people might say there's only 4 saxophones.
1:57, Whatcha and Rose exit the room.
But they don't know that there's an obsolete saxophone called the C melody saxophone, and I have one, and you can't get music for it anymore. But anyway, so there was a time in high school when I was at a state competition and playing all those instruments, and a member of the Glenn Miller Orchestra. Do you know who that is?
The name sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it's like a World War II era jazz band, big band. They have songs like In the Mood, Little Brown Jug, String of Pearls. Anyway, and he approached me and offered me a job as a second alto player as a senior in high school.
Now, Andra enters the room at 1:59.
So he's like, when you graduate, you can come play with the orchestra, and they tour around the country. But I knew that wouldn't be a good job for a family man.
Yeah.
So, and one mess up and it's like, well, do you want cash for tonight's show or do you want a ticket home? It's a very tenuous job. So, but I really love jazz and I probably would be doing that or teaching. I like to teach.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you have a favorite?
1:59, Whatcha and Rose enter the room again.
I don't know a ton about jazz, but is there are there different areas like recording, like jazz recording, or like live concerts, or like what about that appeals to you? Like the creation side or the performative side?
Ooh.
I guess is my
maybe both.
Yeah.
At 2:02, a gray vest person enters the room, and then at 2:02, gray vest and Anda, I believe it is, exit the room. Makes you wonder what he was doing.
I don't really like the freeform jazz as much. Miles Davis is a little tough for me to understand.
It's just kind of a little bit everywhere.
Yeah, kind of all over, really outside. I don't really love all that.
Okay.
But I like the mathematics behind big band jazz and, Count Basie and Duke Ellington and Glenn Miller and Tommy Dorsey, all those old names. I love that stuff.
Okay. That's awesome. And so
now at 2:03, Whatcha and Rose exit the room.
What Disney or TV character do you identify with the most?
That's a tough one. I was thinking Mr. Smee or LeFou, but then, and then I also thought Louis from Princess and the Frog because he's a big jazz musician. But, but a friend of mine, because I've been asking this question, and my kids are like, "Dad, you can't ask that of us; it'll ruin it, right? You got to come up with it yourself." But a dear friend of mine said, "The genie from Aladdin," and I was flattered by that.
I was flattered. Yeah, I think that's a compliment.
Big energy.
Yeah.
Now, here comes Mark Prey, who is Angela's brother, of course. Angela's brother, Mark Prey, and James enter the room at 2:10. It makes you wonder what he's given Angela. Was it taken orally? Did he put it somewhere else?
Larger than life.
You can make things happen.
I hope so. I like to laugh and have a good time. And then that person also said that the most endearing thing about the genie is that it's bound to its lamp for all eternity until it's released by its master.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, who's my lamp? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then this person said, the lamp is Jesus Christ.
At 2:13, the notes say a black female nurse enters the room. She's pushing a wheelie cart. I'm sure she's maybe checking Angela's vitals.
Or no, sorry. The lamp is our mortal nature.
Yeah.
The lamp is our mortal nature, and Jesus Christ is the master, and we're bound to
this existence
until we're released by him. So we're bound to this existence till we're released by him. And I thought, yeah, that's a good way to describe that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Robin Williams' genie, not Will Smith live action genie.
I mean, they're both great, but I think I like Robin Williams better.
Just so classic.
I remember sitting in the theater laughing my head off to that guy.
Yeah.
Man.
That's awesome. That's a really great one. I think he's fun. He's carrying.
It's 2:13 p.m. The black female nurse exits the room briefly. She carries a chair over to the side, and then she enters the room again at 2:13. What is James texting his mistress around this time? Well, the notes say March 15th around 2:15 p.m. I know, I want that so badly. I just love you so much. I can't believe I have lived this far in my life without finding you. How come we couldn't find each other when we were in our 20s before either of us was committed to somebody else? That's what he's worried about. Okay, so by 2:15, the black female nurse has exited the room. She's pushing the wheelie cart. I'm assuming Angela's vitals might have been okay by then.
He's willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great one. I love that. Awesome. Now I'd love to ask a question of the week that is going to be unique to your episode.
Okay.
So what's the most daring adventure that you've ever been on? And I'm eager to hear this one. This has got to be good.
This is a good one. I was just telling this story to some friends this weekend. I'm sorry in advance for anyone on the ward who's already heard it, but there was a time I was almost eaten by a jaguar. So
now here he comes, 2:17. James is entering Angela's room. Is this the moment he did something to her? Or earlier, depending on how big of a dosage he may have given Angela, and based on whatever dosage he gave her of anything, depends on her reaction time, how quickly she would have crashed.
You just say it kind of like just casually. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I was at King Soopers. No, just kidding. So I was in a safari in South Africa.
2:18, the gray vest person briefly stands.
We have some friends from South Africa, and they took us on a safari. And while we were there, they took us, the village is kind of like huts they're a little more safe than huts, but they're just huts. And it's this little village area. And there's like a 3-foot quote unquote wall that kind of surrounds the village and stuff. And it's pretty high end, but they have a pool and a fountain in the middle. And, and I didn't hear this because I'm not a good listener.
And now by 2:19, James exits the room and he's walking down the hallway. Maybe he's going to text his mistress some more.
But the guide said, when we lock you in your hut at night, or when we walk you to your hut at night, don't come out on your own. You have to radio us when it's time if you want to come out for any reason. Well, I didn't hear that. And the first day, Angela's really tired. She went to bed, fell asleep right away. And I was like, man, I want to go out and listen to the animal sounds. It's like nighttime. Are there frogs? Are there crickets? What do they got?
Now, by 2:21, James is returning from the hallway and he enters Angela's room again. I'm sure he's kind of given free rein. The staff is probably being so kind to him.
So I leave the hut, I walk out to the fountain, and I'm sitting there, and there are no animal sounds. No crickets, no locusts, no frogs, nothing. It's dead silent. And I thought, well, and the fountain was turned off. And I thought, well, maybe it's because I just showed up and the animals are like spooked. So I was sitting by the fountain waiting. Silence, waiting, silence, waiting, silence. I don't know, 5-10 minutes went by, maybe more.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess this is a bust. And so I went back to my hut and laid down in bed.
2:21. Okay, James is exiting the room. Whatcha and Rose enter the room.
I'm not kidding. Maybe 5 minutes after I laid down, there was this ruckus outside the hut that sounded like a bunch of Thanksgiving turkeys up in the trees that were surrounding our hut. And they were like, gobble, 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 gobble. It was crazy. And it was so loud. And I thought, oh, there's some birds having a fight. I'll just wait. It'll go away. And it did not go away. It went on for like an hour.
In 2:22, Rose exits the room, running. Several others enter the room. So at this point, there's an emergency. James must have alerted them. She's crashing. Something's happening. Of course, I don't know why. Of course, now you see the busyness happening.
Hour and a half, and I thought, geez, if this happens every night, I am not going to get any sleep on this trip.
Yeah.
But it eventually stopped, and I went to sleep, didn't think anything of it. And one thing I forgot to mention is every night they rake the sand so that they can see what animals have come through the village at night. They can look at the tracks.
Yeah.
Coming up at 2:22, the gray vest enters the room. By 2:23, the defendant exits the room. This is when James puts on his big performance. He's exiting the room. Oh, look, he's the victim. Oh my goodness, hands on the face. He gets a seat. You will see over time, the care team, everyone, they start bringing him water. This is obviously when Angela is crashing out. There's a flurry of activity. Later that night, footage I don't have is when police will show up because they will be told, thank God, by this one coworker that she saw James Craig got some type of cyanide, potassium cyanide delivered to his dental office. But for now, he's the victim and he still has his phone out and everything. At a certain point, he will snap a photo.
Rake it like a yen garden or whatever.
Yeah.
So in the morning, we all get up and we go to breakfast and the guides come out and they're like, you guys, there was a jaguar kill in the village last night. And everybody's like, ooh, cool, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And they said, yeah, come here, we'll show you where it was. So they walk everybody over to our hut. And the tree outside our hut has this huge blood stain in the sand and up the trunk of the tree and into the crux of the first couple of branches of the tree. And they're like, yeah, this jaguar killed this impala and dragged it up here in this tree. And the hyenas came and they were fighting the jaguar for the carcass. And the monkeys in the trees were chattering and howling at each other to alert, because I guess they alert each other anytime there's danger. So that's what I heard was the monkeys and maybe some of the fighting
or something.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking this through and it's sinking in and I'm realizing what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm just not gonna say anything, right? I'm not gonna out myself.
Yeah.
So all day we're on this safari, we're going through the bush, we're seeing all these dangerous animals, the lions, more jaguars, and all day it's just eating at me, man. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. So at dinner that night, it's like a quiet moment. It's like a telltale heart moment. And all of a sudden I just blurt out, okay, I'll tell you guys what happened. And everybody kind of stopped and looked at me and I was like, I told the story. Last night I went to the fountain, no animal sounds, went back to my hut. And the guides' faces just went pale. And they just had this look on their face like they were seeing a ghost.
Like you're
And they said, they were kind of chattering with each other in their language. And then they said in English, now we understand. When we were following the animal tracks, we couldn't figure out why the jaguar was approaching the fountain. And then he turned around and went for the impala. They said the jaguar was hunting you.
Oh, man.
And then you made it into the hut. And so he went for the next nearest game, which was the impala. And
That's insane.
It's crazy, right? And they said every year a couple of guides go missing from jaguar attacks. And the jaguars will jump right at your throat silently and you can't even scream because they just got you. Let's say a guard will go out to go to the bathroom or something in the brush when they're on a safari and he just doesn't come back. And then a few days later, they find his carcass up in the tree.
That's insane.
Right? Crazy. So that's my adventure. I almost got eaten by a jaguar, lived to tell the tale.
Well, I've never been almost eaten by a jaguar.
Well, let's go. I'm good at this. We can figure this out.
I don't know if I trust you. I think I now know why you only go camping like once a year. It's like your kids are probably like, we need to save Dad from himself.
I slather myself in bacon and crawl into the sleeping bag like a burrito.
That's awesome. I think the closest thing I've ever experienced is like bears.
I'm sure in Alaska.
Yeah. So there's bears around.
That scares me more.
Depends. If it's a black bear, you just clap. They run away. You know what I mean? But if I make it a point not to get near anything bigger than a black bear.
Yeah.
And so,
I'll bet you could take a grizz.
If I ate my Wheaties that day, I think I could, put up a fight. But no, I think jaguars just stealthy at night coming at you. That seems.
They mean business.
Yeah. That's kind of nuts for me. So, man, that's intense.
It was intense. Yeah. I'll never do that again.
All right. Well, okay. So now I'd love to switch gears and focus a little bit more on some faith-based questions. If you
believe that sort of thing, that's fine.
If you're into that, I guess.
What you got?
So, what is a powerful, spiritual, or testimony building experience that you'd be willing to share with the podcast?
Oh man, where do I start with this? There's so many, right? There's so many.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, and so I think I'm going to share an experience that I shared with my kids this last week. My dad took me when I was a young teenager, maybe 12, maybe 13, to an abandoned silver mine, and me and a couple of friends. He was like our scout leader or whatever it was. And we went to this abandoned silver mine and we're going through it and learning how to tie bowlines. And in hindsight, it probably wasn't very safe because there were a lot of shafts and stuff and we totally could have died because my dad's a little reckless. But no.
Does he also almost get chased by a jaguar?
Yeah, he's the guy who would get eaten by the bear. And so we went through this mine and it was really cool and it was an adventure. And of course, as a boy, you just love it. And then we get to an area of the mine where my dad said, okay, you see the light up there? You guys can go ahead. A couple of you guys can go up to the light and then you'll be on the mountainside. That's the exit. And you can kind of come down the mountain to the entrance of the mine and we'll meet you down there. The rest of us will go back.
Okay.
So me and a buddy went to the top and we sneaked out that hole and we were like, cool, we are on the side of the mountain. And we started walking to get down to the entrance of the mine. And we realized it was like a really sheer cliff. And there was no way we were going to get down to the entrance of the mine.
Okay.
So the only way to get back to the group was to go back through the mine. And so we go up to the mouth of the mine. It's, of course, inside a mountain, it's pitch black. And I reach in my pocket and can't find my flashlight. And I was the only one who had a flashlight. And I thought, well, it can't be that far, right? We just went from the mouth of the mine to the edge of the cliff and back. It's like a straight line. Yeah. We'll find it. We walked back and forth and couldn't find the light. And I remember saying to him, hey, we need to pray so we can find this flashlight. So he and I kneeled down and I offered a prayer to our Father and said, I need this flashlight so that I can get back through the mine. And then when the prayer ended, we stood up and you would imagine the next step in the story is there was the flashlight.
Yeah.
We didn't find it.
Nothing.
We walked back and forth. We walked all over. Didn't find the flashlight. Couldn't find it anywhere. And then.
This would have been in his trial 229. He has his phone up.
My dad popped out at the bottom of the mine and yelled up to us. And we explained the situation. He came back through the mine to get us. And he said, let's just see if you guys could have gotten back through the mine. So he gave us a flashlight and was following us. And sure enough, man, I would have taken so many wrong turns. I would have fallen down shafts. I would have gotten lost in there. And
yeah.
It may not have turned out well.
Okay.
So that's kind of a spiritual testimony to me that sometimes when we pray and we think we know what we want, it's not really what's best for us. And it's okay to pray for what we think we want.
Yeah.
But when the answer doesn't come or it comes in a way that we weren't expecting.
229, he's up and out of his chair. So he's pretending to be this grieving, almost widower. Like inside, he's probably like, yes, it finally worked.
To realize that our Father has a grander vision than we do. And he might be protecting us by not saying yes to our prayers. And so that to me, and that's kind of shaped my life. There's been a lot of times when I hope for a yes and it doesn't come.
Yeah.
And I realize why.
And so I guess my follow-up question is, do you feel like that story and that experience, I guess, has really...
Now James is returning from the hallway, and I can't help but see that the screen in the front says, Live Extraordinary. That's just such an ironic thing to me.
Helped you recognize and because sometimes I pray, I don't get my answer. I immediately get frustrated and double down and pray again. And you're going to
convince him.
Yeah. Well, I didn't lay out my logic clear enough. Clearly, let me explain it to you.
Yeah.
Right. And so, that's my natural instinct. That's where I go, I kind of have to wrestle a while before I realize like, oh, this is the answer I really need or whatnot.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that experience has really shaped and helped you recognize when you're not getting that answer? Like, okay, maybe there is something better coming along the way, or like, does that make sense?
Yeah, man. I wish I could say yes.
Okay.
But I'm so impatient, and it takes me so long to learn, Jared, that I still get impatient. I still get frustrated with God. I still have moments where I have to have those hard conversations with him. I think in a way, I guess in the back of my mind, it does make me go, all right, be patient.
Yeah.
This has worked out in the past. It doesn't make it any easier. I don't like it. Yeah. But yeah, it's just one cog in a huge machine. It's just one aspect of testimony. There's so many aspects there. But
yeah, and I love that you said that, because those moments, I don't think that dilutes that experience for you.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like sometimes we have powerful experiences, and I've had amazing experiences. And then I'm like, man, I'm just like Laban and Lemuel. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I'm being reprimanded again, even though I've saw the angel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had the experience. And yet a week later, there I am again, doing something. And that doesn't take away from that spiritual experience that I had and the lesson I learned. I just have to I just got to constantly rely on the Comforter and the Spirit to remind me of that experience and be mindful of it. Because I feel like sometimes we feel like if we don't live up to the experience or something, that we weren't worthy of the experience, or that somehow you're not honoring it or something. But we're still struggling. We're still figuring it out. So
yeah, we are.
And it is just one part of what grew your testimony, not all of your testimony.
It is one part. Yeah, it's one part. And we could all list, 100 parts of our testimony, including parts that are secular, science or public opinion or philosophy or common sense. They all have a right to their day in court, right?
Yeah.
But the last word doesn't lie with them. And the last word doesn't lie with us, even if we think we have a testimony. The last word is a testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and only comes from the Holy Ghost. And the ironic thing is, if the gospel and the things that the Holy Spirit and Jesus are trying to tell us, if they were in perfect alignment with who we are today and how we feel today and the science of today, it would be completely out of alignment of the science of tomorrow and who we feel like we are tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm trying really hard, and it's kind of a goal of mine recently, to not hold God to my learned opinions of the moment when he speaks the language of eternity.
Yeah. That's tough to do, man.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I know best. Not God. It's me. I know best.
I've got that. When you find that cure, you come and share it with me, because I struggle with that one. No, but I really appreciate that. So that's a really cool experience. And so I would love to ask and get your opinion. If someone came to you that's struggling, I'm not trying to apply too much pressure here or anything, but I think you're probably wrestling with this as an Elders Quorum president. Folks are coming to you. They're seeking out your counsel. When folks are struggling, obviously they've got to go bishop for serious things, but in that role, you're ministering to folks. When folks are struggling, how do you respond?
Struggling with the testimony of the gospel?
With their testimony, or how they fit into church, or any of the how they can be better in being a priesthood holder. What's your response to that? How do you help?
That's a good question. I think I would say that the first question I would ask is, are you doing the daily rituals? Are you praying? Are you studying your scriptures? Are you communing with God in all of the ways, all of the primary answers that we give all the time? If you're not, then I'm sorry, but you don't have a right to an opinion about whether or not the gospel is true. You don't. And here's what I mean by that. That might sound kind of harsh, but I studied calculus. Pretty much every dentist has to go through a calculus course at some point in undergrad. I studied calculus, and at the time I could have told you whether a calculus answer was true or not, because I was in it every day, studying it and living it. Now I have no right to tell you whether a calculus answer is true or not, because I'm not practicing it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it every day. So for somebody to walk away from Jesus and get away from the daily communion with him, and then to turn around and say, he's not with me, well, maybe it's your fault. And so if you're struggling with your testimony of the gospel, I don't think it's because Christ has left you. I think it's because you've left him. So get to the daily rituals, get back to the basics, and you'll start to feel that come back. And then I would say, if you're back to the daily rituals and you're still struggling and you're not really sure what's true and what's not, it's really cliche, but doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith. Think about all the things about the gospel that you know are true. witnesses that you've had, times that he's spoken to you, times that he's helped you, times that you felt him near. And then if there's some things that are still bugging you, well, you got to ask yourself a hard question. Is Jesus Christ at the helm of the gospel, or isn't he?
Yeah.
And if he is, then get on the bus and stop talking. And if he's not at the helm, then fine. Find something better if you can. I challenge you to. There's nothing better. That's the spoiler alert. So we really just all got to decide whether he's there or not. And if he is, then get on board. Get on board and stop looking back.
Yeah. And it can be so easy to look back, right?
Yeah.
It can be so easy to see the shiny object somewhere else.
Sure.
And, but I think you're right. And I love that analogy, calculus, right?
Yeah.
Whew, that's long gone.
Long gone.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But in that moment, when you're practicing it, when you're engaging with it, when you're wrestling with it, you might have had a couple more answers than you do now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And so the same thing is true for the gospel. Are you wrestling with that? Are you engaging? Are you practicing? If you're not, then maybe that's where you should start. You know? So I appreciate that. And so, where do you find the most joy as a member of the church?
Oh man, the most joy. Ooh, that's a hard one because there's so many sources of joy. I think I really love
public speaking.
Public speaking. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I think I really love the way that the members of this congregation just feel like a family, Hard workers, faithful, struggling, not afraid to say it.
Yeah.
I just love that I feel like I'm in the same boat as a lot of people here. I don't think I would be happy in heaven without Bishop or you or Sister McNeil or whoever, Caitlin Howells. I don't think I would be happy in heaven without the youth in this ward. I want us all to get there together.
Yeah.
And not just this ward. I got a lot of friends. I don't think I could be fully happy in heaven knowing they're not there. So, and I actually sincerely feel like there's some people in this ward who may not be happy if I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I love that feeling. It feels like, man, let's just all make the commitment to get there together. Let's just help each other, be nice, and help each other get there together.
Oh, man, that's so good because that's what it's all about is that community. But it's not just a community for like barbecues, right? It's not just
fun.
Yeah, no. Those things are great. But it's a community with a higher purpose.
It is.
With a more eternal perspective.
Yeah. Man, it warms my heart to hear a brother speak up and say, I'm struggling with mental illness, or I'm struggling in my marriage, or I'm having a hard time with this principle of the gospel. I love that vulnerability.
Totally. And I think that we've got it in our ward.
I think so too.
Could we all get better? Obviously.
I mean, not me. I'm pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's why
of course.
El Presidente over here.
Right.
But I've seen that, and I've experienced that in our elders quorum especially. I've been in lots of elders quorums, and I don't think that this is the type of conversations that I've had in others,
Yeah.
And I love it.
We've had some vulnerability.
But also just like some men that are willing to just like stop the conversation and say like, yeah, but this is the question I'm thinking about right now. And everybody doubles down and says, let's answer that question.
Let's get after it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Poor Brother Hanson. Like, he prepares lessons and like, I think one great thing about him as an instructor is he understands when the Spirit's directing that conversation, and he helps then just facilitate that conversation too. So, but yeah, I think you're right. Like, and I don't think that that's exclusive to us as an elders quorum.
No,
I think that's happening in the priest quorum. I think that's happening in Relief Society. I think that's happening in primary rooms. I think that this ward is just, really attuned to that in a way that I haven't seen in other wards. I hope it's happening everywhere. All right. So probably has to be one of my favorite questions of the interview. Can you share an example of someone in the ward providing you Christ-like service?
Ooh, man, so many, right? I think probably the number one example in my own life would probably be Bishop McElroy. We've had a pretty unique relationship since even before he was the bishop. I've had some hard conversations with him. And maybe even Bishop Warnick before Bishop McElroy. I mean, I remember there was a time when I was in Bishop Warnick's office and I was like, I just don't know if the gospel's for me, man. I don't know if I can do it. And you could tell he didn't really know what to say. And he, over the next 3 or 4 days, the Lord touched me and led me back to him. But anyway, and I talked about some of those things with Brandon McElroy before he was bishop. And even after he was bishop, he's not supposed to have a ministering assignment because he kind of ministers to everybody, but he didn't want to be taken away from our family as his ministering assignment. And he'd just pop in, and poor guy probably just wanted to have a 15-minute discussion, and we'd keep him for an hour or two. And he just, poor Melanie too, man, she must feel like a widow sometimes. Brandon's always at our house. But I just really appreciated that. He knew my kids. He loved them. He knew some of the struggles I was going through, and he loved me. And really, really taught me how to be a true minister. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, he's been called out more than once, I'm sure, on the podcast.
Yeah,
but for good reason. He has an ability to minister to folks in ways that as much as I love Bishop, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I think it also just comes because he's putting in the sweat equity.
Yeah,
and I love that.
Sure.
I think that's actually kind of the positive side of it is I think any of us could do it.
Oh, sure. I think he would agree.
We just need to double down like he does.
Yeah.
And instead of spending that extra 15 minutes on that YouTube video, like I'm usually doing, I could be just driving over and popping in and saying hi to someone, and I just don't.
Yeah.
But he does. And so again, that's not a slight at him in any way. I think he's putting that in.
Yeah.
And we could do the same.
Oh,
you
sure.
know what I mean? So
yeah.
But he's a really great example of that for sure.
Of course. And I could talk about many, many others, but I don't want to because I know I'll leave somebody important out. But I mean, anybody in this ward could be swapped in or out for Brandon McElroy, and there could be an equally amazing story about them. It's just an incredible, incredible ward. Yeah.
I will say I do feel bad, like, when you get released as Elders Quorum president, when they call you to be bishop. I think it's going to be you've got some tough shoes to fill.
I don't think that's going to happen. I'll be contributing to the opposing campaign story or whatever.
No, that's awesome. So for the final question, a little introspection. What's one way that you can work on making the South Shore Ward a better faith community?
I think if I had all the jobs in the ward, it would probably be a lot better.
Just give me all the callings.
Man, I could probably do a better job at not feeling like I'm imposing when I'm trying to talk to someone or minister to them. A lot of times, if I see somebody in the hall, I don't say hi because I'm like, well, they probably don't really want to talk to me. They're probably going somewhere or doing something. And I don't want to pop in on somebody in the evening without unannounced and just be like, hey, I'm just here to say hi to you guys because maybe they're in the middle of their favorite show or maybe their kids are having a meltdown. So I kind of get in my own head and I talk myself out of ministering like I think the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ would.
Yeah.
I think that he ministered to people and loved them where they were at, and he hung out with sinners, which is my favorite person to hang out with. And
they're the most fun.
they have cookies. And so I just need to get out of my own head and just be brave enough to go to the people that the Spirit is telling me to go to and check in on them and be their friend and not feel like I'm imposing. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard for me.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I think that's something that, Emily gave a talk not too long ago. My wife gave a talk not too long ago in Sacrament. And I didn't actually get to hear much of the talk before she delivered the talk in Sacrament. But that's something that I learned from that talk and that I just keep revisiting is, she brought up this idea of you have your first thoughts oftentimes of, oh, I should go stop by, or, oh, I should go help someone, or, oh, I should say hi in the hallway. And she talked about the second thoughts that come. Oh, probably they're busy.
Yeah.
Oh, probably, what if they're watching their favorite show? What,
yeah.
And she
we
said,
talk ourselves out of it.
That's Satan, right? That the Holy Ghost will whisper that first, plant that seed, right?
Uh-huh.
But then Satan's coming in loud with some excuses and justifications for yeah, but do you really want to bug them right now? Oh, but do you really,
Yeah.
And I'm finding myself in that, recognizing those second thoughts more and more.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've mustered up the courage to continue to act on those first thoughts as much as I'd like to. But I think it's exactly what you're saying, right? Sometimes you just, we get in our head about those second thoughts,
Yeah. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking Satan works on me when I'm like at my own house doing something that I really enjoy, like playing the piano or watching a show that I really wanted to watch. And it'll come into my head like, man, aren't you glad nobody's dropping by right now?
Yeah, right?
Right? And so then when I think about dropping by somebody's house, I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting, Jared. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I learned something tonight.
Yeah. So I think we can all do, a little bit better at that same thing, right? I think it would make our ward, our faith community, a little bit better if we, didn't let those second thoughts creep in as often, and if we really just stuck to that first thought, because I think those first thoughts are well-intentioned, often from the Spirit, quietly whispering what we need to hear and who we need to minister to.
I know.
And so I also want to get better at that and just not let myself get my own way. And just
there's a theme here, isn't there? That we think we know better than the Lord.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that, ministering is a miracle. It really is. When you get that thought that you need to do something for someone, that's a true modern day miracle.
Yeah.
And to deny that actuality of miracles on the grounds that, well, I don't understand the why, so the result must not be true, is to arrogate ourselves to omniscience by saying that what we don't understand can't be true, and therefore we're able to comprehend all that is.
Yeah.
And I think we just need to get out of our own way.
Just get out of our own way.
Yeah.
And the more I'm having those moments, the more I'm recognizing. I'm more frustrated with myself when I'm not following it, because I'm getting better at recognizing this that thought that comes in like, oh, I should ask for a blessing. Then by the time the prayer's over, I'm already on my second thought, fourth thought, and I forget. And then I get home, I'm like, dang, I really did want a blessing. Why did I ask for a blessing? You know what I mean? And so, it's not just about ministering, but being ministered to. And so yeah, I think that's great. I think this has been awesome to just be able to sit down, get to know you a little bit better, to hear your testimony.
Now here we are by 2:47. James is still there, texting away on his phone. Now, granted, I don't know if he's texting his children or family members in between texting his mistress the updates, but he's the grieving husband. He has tissues placed by him eventually. He has water to drink. And even throughout the interview, he will speak about taking a trip to South Africa and him not really listening to the instructions of how to keep away from danger from the wild animals, and how he went out, traipsing around when he wasn't supposed to and almost got eaten by a jaguar. Obviously, he's a man who does not like to follow rules, thinks, he's above it all, until he was finally caught. Thank the Lord he was caught. Obviously, the emergency response team must be working on Angela. They were baffled. They did not know what kept making this woman sick. Of course, eventually they found out it was potassium cyanide and other substances, but James was really looking for something undetectable. He thought it wouldn't be traced. He thought he would get away with it. And coming up, I will publish other videos about the stuff he didn't get away with.
I think that I'm really excited about our elders quorum. I'm excited about the opportunity we have to work shoulder to shoulder in elders quorum.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that we're blessed by having you and the rest of your family in our ward. And so I appreciate what you bring. I appreciate being able to, look up to you when you're bearing your testimony on Sundays. You've always got a great way of being able to deliver that message in a way that I was like, I didn't think about that. You know what I mean? I don't want the dragons to come,
Yeah.
But you put it in a way that makes it easy for my lizard brain to understand. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate your testimony. So thank you for being willing to come on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And there he is, snapping that photo right at that time that he would send to his mistress. So I lined it up. I remember looking at whatever that is in front of them, like the little rolly cart and the woman's black pants and white shoes and his perspective. And you see the IVs hanging, and you just see poor Angela, a victim of her husband, who she began to suspect after a while. It's just something so macabre and horrific about what he's doing. And even when they wheel Angela out, you will see soon, he's just kind of sitting there. It's almost like her brother has to prompt him to, let's go. But this is when, after he snapped that photo, and then you'll see on March 15th at 2:57 p.m., so he waited a little while, and he sent a photo to his mistress. And he wrote the words, crash, intubated, 57/44. So that's really low blood pressure. His mistress is an orthodontist, so she would be able to understand the impact of these words and someone being intubated. And she just says, no words, I love you. And he writes, no brain activity. They want to do a CT scan of her head, but she's too unstable. She's too unstable to even put on the ventilator. Pupils unresponsive. I don't know if she has any brain activity. This is a nightmare, he says. Now, keep in mind, this is March 15th. This is around 3 p.m. It's a nightmare, okay? It's a big nightmare. And he's sitting there, he gets his tissues later, he gets water, and I'm sure the medical staff has got to be so wonderful. They're trying to help him. They think he's this grieving husband worried about this wife who keeps getting sick for God knows what reasons. So by 3:01 p.m., Mark Prey, Angela's brother, makes it back. James probably texted him. Her brother's got to be so worried about her. Can you imagine if this were your sister and you just had no idea what is happening? And maybe James is sitting there like, ha ha, I know what's happening. I'll be free of her soon. Never mind her, going through all this sickness and pain. And now here we are, 3:10 p.m. Angela's wheeled out. James seems a little distracted on his phone, as if he has to be prompted to, hey, let's go follow. Basically her brother is kind of like, let's see where they're, of course we can't go in the room where the CAT scan is or whatever, but maybe we can go follow. What a horrible, horrible man. The very sad part is after that crash, intubated, that text, no brain activity, all of that exchange. Then by 5:21, James texts his mistress, thanks for answering. They won't let me see her in ICU. They're going to do dialysis because her acid is so high. They're going to access one of the vessels in her brain to give her meds for a possible infection. He's like, oh, could it be an infection? I don't know. Also a lumbar tap. The ICU doc just told me she's gotten worse in the last hour. He's probably like, yes, it's working. Man, babe, I'm not going to like telling their children if this goes like I think it's going to go. Another daughter has started texting him a lot more about her feelings. His mistress calls him JT through these text messages. I think that's just the name. It was under the phone. And so they started saying, oh, JT, because James was using, I believe, his son's phone or something like that, or son's account or what have you. JT came about somehow, but it's actually James Craig. She says, I will start praying about how you might talk to the littles. I'm so sorry. James is soaking up all the, woe is me, I'm the widower now almost. He says, thank you. That's going to be so heartbreaking. Basically, telling all these 6 children that their mom is gone. And then he goes, what you doing tonight? I mean, who could be more cold-hearted? Just cold-hearted. So coming up, I plan to go ahead and publish, a couple of heroes in this story, their interviews, because James Craig's destruction didn't end here with his wife and the impact of taking her life away from her family, from her children, from those who loved her, instead of just divorcing her. I mean, he already cheated on her so much. I think she knew of some of it. He had already given her bad stuff in the past, and now this time he gave her so much stuff that it ended up working. He got his wish. Not only did he harm all those people, and even harm the people who he started relationships with under false pretenses, but, the very next day, March 16th, 17th, 18th, he was enjoying his mistress who flew in town at the hotel with him, lying to his own brother like, oh, I've been staying alone at this hotel. I can't stay in the house. By March 18th, Angela was pronounced brain dead. But I will play the videos coming up on my channel. This week, I hope to get them all out of the heroes in this case. One woman who worked in Dr. James Craig's office, and she was told by him, I'm expecting this package, and she accidentally, it was opened and she saw potassium cyanide. Thank God she saw it. Thank God she told people what she saw. And eventually, unfortunately, it couldn't have saved Angela's life, but she may have saved a lot of other people's lives if James would have gone on to harm anyone else, because he had plans. Well, she saw that. At least they knew, wait a minute, This is likely what harmed Angela. And then authorities were able to gather all this evidence and have him convicted. There's another woman too who, I believe she was married to the partner or somewhere in the business with James, and her husband confronted James about his odd behavior and tried to get the truth out of him. I will play her interview, and I tell you, some of them are horrible. The hero colleague, she speaks really lowly at first, and then she starts speaking up so I can see what I have to do with her audio. But the other woman, oh my goodness, she's being recorded. I guess the guy has on a body cam, but it's like just motion and all around. So it's difficult to hear her from across the room, across the table, but I'll still try and publish it. And then after James Craig was convicted, thank the Lord, he was caught, convicted, off in prison, he gets so pissed off with Detective Bobby Olson, the one who, basically tried to question him in that previous video we watched. Other inmates, other detectives, he devises this diabolical plan to have all these people taken out. So an inmate, we'll watch his video, I'll publish that too. He spilled the beans on James Craig, so James Craig caught even more charges in there. And this guy helped to avoid anyone else being harmed, we pray. So let's close with Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord is with you wherever you go. So thanks for watching all this. I'll plan to get, again, I'm filling up the James Craig case file with all this evidence. I plan to put photos up. You can already read the text messages. I'll put more PDFs up, and I think that'll be almost it for the videos. I'll put all the hospital surveillance videos up too for those who like to download them, watch them, whatever. Thank you so much for watching all of this. Take care.